would be welcomed. I would suggest to Mr. Srivastava that we must have such people as Mr. Goswami on our brains trust in the institute. So then when we are designing the RFD for the departments and the ministries, their input should be there. We must have some.
But Mr. Kashyap, what if the government policy itself is questionable? You see, after all, the secretary has to accede to whatever the minister is wanting him to do. And now he is going to evaluate him. Now we had policies, for example, in Punjab we had the Sangat Darshan, where the money was actually, it came in from certain developmental projects. In Haryana we had the Sarkar Aapke Dwar, which again was a questionable policy. So in this case, I don't think the officer will even question it now.
I think what will happen is that the minister, the political leaders will realize that they are going to win or lose the elections on performance. Once that's realized, then the instruments toward that goal would be designed. So I have a feeling that this is something that's going to expose the inefficiencies of both the minister and the secretary. To that extent, it is a dangerous weapon, and the more dangerous the weapon, the more chances of its injuring the parties concerned.
Mr. Dharmveer, do you think this format is fine, or do you think it will scuttle a difference of opinion, a very healthy difference of opinion which is going to be there?
I don't think it would lead to any meaningful result for three reasons. Firstly, there are three important players in any department: minister, secretary and head of the department. And their relationship has to be extremely close, and they have to work towards a common goal. So ultimately, whatever may be the bureaucracy, it's an instrument of political will. It has to translate the policies which is propounded by the party in power. Of course, it has to be legitimate policy. Yes. It has to be public oriented policy. So it is very difficult, and especially at the state level, where 80 to 90% of the total action takes place through the state government. So far as public is concerned, whether it is education, whether it is food, whether it is agriculture, whether it is irrigation, roads, etc., whatever you look at, barring 7-8 major subjects which deal with the public, most of this are in the state sector. Therefore, a close coordination is required. I would not imagine if Chief Minister of any state is holding a department, he has to sign a memorandum of understanding with his secretary. I think a day or Prime Minister would sign a memorandum of understanding with his secretary. I think if that kind of relationship has to evolve in our country, then it requires a different ethos, different perception, different styles.
Perhaps such structuring doesn't take place at those levels. Yes. Mr. Srivastava, don't you think the 2000 model, which was suggested and it kind of never implemented, was a better system? In that system, there was an eminent persons group, I think, which had a tenure of 5 years. And they decided on an officer's performance on the basis of input from the peers, the juniors, and also the clients, in this case the public.
We are confusing it with performance appraisal of the officers. This is not the case with RFD per se.
Ji.
RFD is a management approach, a performance management approach, which documents the priorities and with numbering and weightages. So it is not per se for the evaluation of the officers. And second thing I said about the quality of the RFD objectives, one presumes that elected government will do it well, and number two, we as an institute, Mahatma Gandhi State Institute of Public Administration, will go to the public, and we have a roadmap for consultations with the public on all departmental RFDs.
But every year, every state government prepares plan, annual plan, and budget. All physical targets are given, financial targets are given, they are put on the website also. All that you need to do is to get those targets in the public domain more effectively and see that these are implemented. I mean, or divide them into the districts. Let people know. For instance, take the case of a district magistrate. How do you evaluate him? There may be a law and order crisis, severe law and order crisis, whether he would be gunning after the law and order problem or the implementation of targets. So it is a different ball game for different
classes. To add to that, I think as far as the officer is concerned, where is the public evaluation of his work? in this present suggested system?
The RFD will be put on the internet, so public will see it, and there would be a public participation. You see, these are the good things. Why do you protest against that? These are the things which will inform the public much more greatly, and there would be a very healthy feedback. So in this process, the setting up of the objectives will be reformed, and even the minister, the government and bureaucrat and everybody down the line will have a kind of...
Mr. Kashyap, would you like to add to this, because you are the advisor to the project in the institute?
That what Mr. Dharamveer has expressed and apprehended is exactly the thing that's going to be put in the public domain. If certain targets are met or not met, the public should judge, and if they find that they have not been met, then some head should roll. I read in the paper a few months ago that the Prime Minister pulled up 2 ministers for failure to perform as evaluated by the RFD, and that was a very objective assessment. So there is no reason why this should not also continue in the time to come. Now the question is, it's an instrument, it's a flexible instrument. We have specialists who are going to help in using it. So the question is...
The feeling one gets says that there is very little public participation in the process. Mr. Goswami,
yeah,
don't you think
that's
so?
Absolutely correct. In a democracy, you can't sign memorandum of understanding. You have to understand the structure of the US is very different. So there they have a memorandum of understanding which is signed between the president and the various departments, and now there was a thought about signing it with the vice president and things like that. Now what has happened, we have just lifted that policy without even a thought. You can't have a person coming from the World Bank quoting Goldman Sachs and bringing in a new document. Public has to be a part of it. Now I was just going through the rough draft of RFD and how the weightage was to be done. In one of the department, the weightage for public grievance or redressal of public grievance was 1%. 1 marks out of 100 was for the public redressal of public grievance and interaction. So if you... This is how
there is nothing to stop you from increasing that.
No, I'm not saying from increasing it. I'm not talking about just increasing one thing. It will depend on how you are adding.
The point he's trying to say is that there is public needs to be involved in the evaluation process.
In a democracy where public is voting and the minister is accountable, it's not the bureaucrat who loses his...
Mr. Dharamveer, just 1 minute. I want to bring in Mr. Dharamveer. There is another significant element in the new system. The financial bonus of the officer will be linked to the RFD. That means that a secretary who performs well will get 40% bonus on his basic salary. You think that's a good thing?
I don't agree with that at all. The reason is that senior bureaucrats, in my judgment, good jobs, freedom to work, doing good work, environment are more crucial. I don't think I will like to work just to get 40%. If I am not going to work at that level for which I have been recruited and trained over a period of 30 years, if I become secretary or chief secretary, I should be looking for that kind of benefit.
I also agree with Dharamveer. At this level, we are above all these incentives.
I don't think that is important.
But Hemant, don't you think this will introduce meritocracy in the system?
Incentive would be required, by the same time, if like document say if somebody goes below 60%, then you should throw that person out. We have enough people who are willing to take up the job or who are willing to do the job. Now, besides that, throwing the people, there has to be another intervention. You have to see this document in isolation is not going to work. Even in the US, it works with the CAG, it works with the planning department, it works with so many other departments and even oversight committee. Over here, we are trying to run the document independently. We have a CAG report which nobody looks at. It placed in the parliament and there are criminal breach of trust. Nobody gets punished for that. We have oversight. We have a CVC.
So I think what we need is better enforcement and looking at whatever system there are actually.
Regarding the grievances redressal,
I want to check with you, Mr. Srivastava, another thing. Will it affect the promotions, whether they are time scale or selection grade? Because as of now, an officer becomes a joint secretary with about 4 to 6 years service, secretary with about 15 to 16 years service, and a principal secretary with about 25 years service. Will that remain the same, or if their performance is good, they can jump over other officers?
Promotions are subject to the good reports. So therefore, on the RFD basis, the reports will naturally vary, and therefore the promotions will be affected, no doubt.
But that is the system.
I spoke to Dr. Trivedi, and it is being proposed in the Cabinet Secretariat that the annual confidential reports of the officers should include their evaluation by RFT also.
Yes.
It should.
Now there's an interesting thing, that original document from which we have lifted this policy, and we are trying to make it a legislation also.
Yes.
The original document in the US, it does not provide for performance incentive to officers. This is a thought where we are trying to experiment it with it, and we are trying to say, okay, we give 40%
Well,
incentive.
Hemant, that is primarily, I think, because a lot of officers were seen leaving the service. Mr. Kashyap, do you think
I
this will
think that
help
survey is good enough now.
prevent officers from leaving the service, prevent an exodus of sorts which is taking place?
I tell you, if this succeeds, then you will find more officers leaving, and I'll be very happy.
Yes.
Complacent officers must leave. If this is a strong instrument, people should know perform or perish. So they will perish. But if it does not succeed, then the mediocres will continue. If it helps in weeding out the mediocres who cannot measure up, in fact, it doesn't really matter whether you get 40% or more or less. In most of the democracies, all these top appointments are on contract. So there is already assessment.
I strongly disagree with Mr. Kashyap on the thing that only mediocre officers will leave, or the officers who are performing poorly will leave. It's basically the good officers who are more prone to leave, because we have seen what this kind of incentive scheme have done with Punjab police during the terrorism days. We have seen what this kind of performance have done when our army, where they have been fake killing and things like that. So you will have people, if a person is more corrupt, more shrewd, he is more likely to show on paper that he is doing better, and it is a practical thing which we have experienced.
Since you are still serving, do you think this will help people not leave the service, the kind of incentives that are to be given with the introduction of the RFT?
I would not like to enter into this leaving or not leaving. You see, this is a good management tool. Very plain that this is a good management tool, that you prioritize the things and you also incentivize on that basis. There is a flip side also. Flip side is this, that creativity is a continuous process. So the entire year's program you cannot anticipate in all full details. Throughout the year,
Creativity will be affected. It's far too structured.
So
Mr. Harvi, the last word from you. RFT or no RFT, we all agree that I think some kind of evaluation system, some kind of a meritocracy needs to be introduced. So what is that, how can that be done?
I do believe that the objective evaluation of officers must take place, which is practical and not based on this kind of document, number one. I also believe there is a way out to deal with checking or evaluating the performance of a department without MOU route. There is a way that can be handled. Number three is that if we have to tinker with the system of more than 100 years of civil services, jumping the queue on the basis of merit, it must be done with extreme care.
yeah,
Because in our country it would be misused also by
That's very important.
Absolutely.
clever,
I think we
clever
have to be careful on that. The document is not,
we should not
policy is
tinker
not
with the
misused.
time tested system.
because
Right. I think we're running out of time. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us in this discussion. Since the nature of the Indian state has changed, there is a pressing need for the bureaucracy to be accountable for its actions. The ongoing effort to make the administrative system merit-based will definitely help. But will it make the careerist officers meet up to the aspirations of the public, who are the real stakeholders? That remains to be seen. Will it make the careerist officers meet up to the aspirations of the public, who are the real stakeholders? That remains to be seen. With that, we end this episode of Day and Night News Prime Debate. We meet again tomorrow with another issue. Till then, good luck and goodbye.